Hello, pre-algebra friends. Welcome back to video on 3.6, solving multi-step inequalities. I want to review some of these inequality English words that we've talked about before, just to kind of review when you're writing an inequality from a word problem. Recognizing what inequality symbol to use is based on these words over here on the left. So if something is at most, it is less than or equal to. It cannot be greater than. No more than, same thing, less than or equal to. Two different ways to say the exact same thing. Exceed, exceed means go beyond, so greater than. Reach or exceed, so that word right there puts the straight line underneath the inequality symbol. That means you can be at the same number or more than. At least as many as. That's greater than or equal to. Keep the cost under. The word under means less than. Surpass. That means to be bigger than. Surpass means you are greater than. As much as, this is kind of I stuck this one in here as a trick. As much as is not an inequality, it's an equality. It's an equal sign. At least as much as, now you make it back into an inequality symbol, and no bigger than, less than, or equal to. So we might have done these exact same words on another note sheet, but I did want to review them because these will be important as we go forward in writing some inequalities. So let me get rid of this guy up here. All right, we're going to do multi-step inequalities like we talked about in 3.5. We're going to do the exact same thing we did when we were solving equations, except for the last step. We have to look and see if we're multiplying or dividing by a negative number. When it's a negative number that we multiply or divide by to get the variable alone, the very last step, we have to flip the inequality symbol. So let's start with this first one. You can box it up and rewrite it. See if I can write small enough with this pen. We're going to subtract 12 from both sides. Remember, we do the subtraction and addition first. Write down everything and line up your inequality symbols. We've got one more thing to do to get the x alone, and that's multiply, the opposite of division, both sides by 30. And because we're multiplying by a positive 30, this inequality symbol stays the same. So x is less than 240. We're going to save the graphing, not do the graphing so that this video will go a little bit quicker, but be sure that you do know how to graph these, because on a test or a quiz, I most likely will ask you to graph them as well as solve. I'm kind of seeing a ghostly 1 here in our future, so I think when I rewrite this, I'm going to add our friend, the ghostly 1. I'm going to subtract 31 from both sides. That leaves negative 1x less than, and 19 minus 31 is a minus 12. If you have to go over to the side and do it, you can do that over here on some scratch paper. One more step to get the x alone. He's not alone. He's got a negative 1 attached to him by multiplication, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. But now notice we're dividing by a negative number, so we need to flip the sign. And I almost always will write my sign down first and then fill in the variable and the constant on the other side. So x becomes greater than positive 12. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So there's our first case where, in this particular set of problems, where we had to flip the sign. But there'll be more coming at you. Okay, this one, we got to get our variables alone. You know, when we were solving equations, it didn't really matter to me whether my x was on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, but I think I've told you before, when I'm dealing with inequalities, I prefer to have my variables on the left. So I am going to rewrite it, and I am going to subtract 2x from both sides. That leaves me with minus 5x minus 3 less than negative 83. Don't forget these signs. They're so easy to miss, and that will cause your problem to be wrong. Now we're going to add 3 to both sides. Minus 5x less than negative 80. One more step is division, and we're dividing by a negative number. So again, I am going to take this sign and flip him before I write anything else down. Now we have positive x, which is what we want, greater than positive 16. Christmas colors over there. Okay, let's look at this one. I see some distribution, so of course that's the first thing I'm going to do. That's our first step in the process of solving either equations or inequalities. Now I want to get my variables together. Again, I want my x's to be on the left-hand side. It makes it easier for me if I have to graph them, to have them over here on the left, looking like that. Add 6. Moving nicely. Don't forget the negative in front of the 4, greater than 20. And one more time, we're dividing by a negative number, so that sign is going to invert and go the other way, giving us positive x less than negative 5. So I want you guys to try number 5 on your own, and we'll give it a whirl when we come back to class and discuss this as a whole. We're going to start on some word problems now. So the first thing that we're going to do when we write start our process for solving inequalities is we are going to define a variable. And we're going to specifically say what that variable is going to stand for. And generally, it's what they're asking you to come up with. So this problem says you need to complete at least, there's our inequality symbol, 300 math problems in 4 days. How many exercises should you complete each day? So we are going to say let x equal number of exercises, math problems, to do each day. Minimum. You can do more, but if you want to keep an even keel and get 300 done in 4 days, you need to complete at least X amount each day. So now we need to write the inequality. So 4 days doing X amount of math problems each day needs to be at least, there's greater than or equal to 300. Divide both sides by 4. No negative signs to worry about. So X needs to be greater than or equal to 75. And now you need to answer this question. This is math. The answer to the question is going to be in English words. You need to do at least 75 problems per day to reach goal in 4 days. Reach goal in 4 days. So that's your answer. Okay, a museum would like to make at least $7,200 during an art exhibit. They give you the price of the ticket. What is the minimum number of tickets to be sold to reach your goal? So we're going to let X be minimum number of tickets to reach goal. So we're going to write our equation. Our equation is $4.50 for every single ticket that we sell, and this needs to be greater than or equal to 7,200. Divide. You can hop on a calculator, divide both sides by 4.5, and you get X greater than or equal to 1,600. So the answer to the question is you must sell at least 1,600 tickets to reach goal. All right, we've got a couple more. I'm going to work this one, number 8, and then I'm going to ask you, you guys to work number 9. So this is a comparison of a couple different options that you've got for renting movies. At a video store, you can just flat out pay $4 per movie that you rent. Or you can join their little club for a one-time membership fee of $10, and then you only pay $1.50 per movie for each rental. So they want to know, after how many movie rentals will the cost of renting the movies with the membership, joining up for $10, be less than the cost of renting the movies without the membership fee? So we're going to let X equal number of movies for both options. And we want to know, when is option, let's call this option 1, not joining, and then let's call this option 2. And we want to know, when is option 2, after how many movies is option 2 going to be less than option 1? So now we've done sort of a verbal model here. And now we have to actually put some numbers and write an inequality here. So option 2, let's go back and look at option 2. You have to pay $10, and then every time you rent the movie, you're paying $1.50. So $1.50 times every time you rent the movie plus the $10 flat fee. When is this going to be less than just paying $4 for renting the movie? So that's our inequality. We need to get our variables together. So since this guy's over here by himself, I'll go ahead and subtract 1.5x from both sides, and I get 10 is less than 2.5x. Or I can rewrite this and put 2.5x over here, flip the inequality symbol, because when I pick this up and move it, we did this before, I have to change the inequality symbol if I'm going to pick the x up from this side and move him over here. Divide by 2.5, and you get 4. 10 divided by 2.5 is 4. So the answer to the question is, let me get the other color. If you rent more than 4 movies, joining the club is cheaper. If you're only going to rent 1, 2, or 3 movies, then just stick with the $4 per pop. Okay, give your attention to number 9, see what you can do with it, and we'll talk about it when we come back next time also. Thanks for listening.